Welcome to the Patriot Hour.
Here we go. Let's go.
We're in the studio. We got another exciting...
We're going to test it, aren't we?
Yes.
We are going to test it. We don't know how this will go, but we are going to test it.
Please give as much feedback as possible, whichever way you think you want to hear it.
That's right. Leave comments.
Good and bad.
If you like it, yeah. Good, bad, what you liked, what you didn't. Share.
Mikey, what are we testing here? What's the topic? We were going to go one direction, and we decided as a group during Garage Talk we're going to go this direction.
We're just going to highlight some of Trump's positive things, right? That's what we're wanting to, There's so much negativity highlighted, and for example, hundreds of businesses successful.
Oh man,
maybe 6, 7, 8 not.
Yeah,
and
that's a hell of a success rate. Hell of a success rate. I wish that I had a 98.8% success rate. Let's jump on that one, or we can go into your video. I don't care, but if we go into your video, you're gonna take that one. But let's talk. Mike just brought up the 98 point, and I don't know, it's 98% something success rate. So you have all he's naysayers. He's filed bankruptcy a few times. Well, how many is a few times? I don't really know the number. I don't know that anybody that gets on the Facebook or the Googles or whatever it is can actually defend that.
But that doesn't even matter, really, right?
So let's say it's 6. I'll even go as high as 10.
Let's go 10.
So has he been successful 92, 3 times out of 102 or something? I don't know. Oh, yeah, he lost autoplay, his pause back there. But so as a businessman, there's a lot of people that said we were ready for a businessman. Nate's a big believer and that we were ready for a business. We didn't need any more lawyers.
Career politician.
Yeah.
We need a businessman to run our country. Career politicians have had huge issues running our country.
A little refreshing. And to play devil's advocate to Nate, well, Nate, he's filed bankruptcy a couple of times. He failed. He failed a few times.
But that's what a businessman does, and he didn't give up.
Yep. Right? He didn't put his tail between his legs.
He fought harder, and he succeeded.
Correct.
Multiple times. Multiple times.
Like my dad would always tell me, if you don't do anything, if you don't try, you won't have to worry about failing. Well, if you put that in perspective, so let's say 100. Okay, he's been in business or business situations 100 times, and he's failed a few times. And he didn't stop. He kept going. Hell, New York City loved him enough to where they couldn't get the skating rink. And this is one of my favorite stories about Trump. They were behind schedule. They were losing money. And they begged him. At some point, they said, "You know what? You're remaking Manhattan. You're doing such a great job." Because he wasn't always a conservative. Even as a conservative, I know he used the conservative party to get elected. I'm not stupid at that. I'm okay with that. So he was always a liberal. And the New York City Council or mayor, whoever it was, came to him and said, "We're behind. We got to get this done." So he jumps in. He gets it done ahead of schedule and under budget. And they loved him. They've always loved him until 18 months ago-ish, right?
Yeah.
So he's got a 98 success rate. If we all had a 98% success rate, wow, our economy would be booming. What you want are people that say, I'm going to get out there and try. And if I fail, we talked about it in the Garage Talk, I'm just going to walk away. And
that's part of America, too, is trying, failing, learning, and coming back at it.
The biggest thing.
Coming back at it.
From your mistakes, you will succeed.
Yeah. It takes a certain individual to come up with an idea and put it into motion. That alone.
Yeah.
Like you as a business owner, that took an idea and motivation wherever you dug and got that from, because lots of people have ideas.
Sure.
Do they act on them?
Sure.
Second steps, acting on them.
It's a big risk. It's a big risk.
It's a risk.
Personal failure amongst your family and friends. And
setting out, having the idea, putting it in motion, and then failing. Put that,
now you bring
that breaks a man.
Yeah. Now you bring in other variables. Now you have the emotional. I failed. You got the your community or the people closest to you, even people that love you, going, "Oh, you failed."
There's multiple levels to this: starting a business and failing. We know tons of people that have started, failed, and then what happens? Some of them cowardly, tail between their legs, never again. Takes that special individual to go again and try it. I'm gonna go again.
Try again.
So that speaks volumes.
History is full of people like Trump, like him or not, but he does employ people. He does generate monies. He gets things done.
Lots
you may
of people
not like the man personally. I didn't ask you to, but I have a problem. He is a savvy enough, and we talked about it outside. Garage Talk. Got to get that going. But we talked about it. Trump doesn't make every decision in his companies. Some of his companies failed because people were making dumb decisions. But what he is good at is putting the right people in power, and then he manages those people. He doesn't care how much toilet paper is on level 3 of his hotel. You know, that's not his job. But he wants to make sure that if that becomes a problem, that somehow somebody brings it to his attention.
And he goes and finds the person in charge of that, and he says, "Why are we having the issue
Right.
with this?"
Right. You had one task to do, and you couldn't do that. And that's the reality TV show that he did. You know, Trump was really good at, hey, I gave you an opportunity. I'm even going to let you fail a little bit because,
Yes.
like we said, you know, failure breeds success. But I'm not going to let you screw the entire company because we're a team here. And I don't think Trump cares. I mean, if he fails, it's just him. But, you know, when you're in business, you need everybody to succeed. And I
Yes.
think he cares enough.
Oh yeah.
And that's what sucks about our country right now. Our country is a team.
Correct.
We are all the same team. Why are we fighting each other so much? Why is one side trying to win more than the other?
I think it's because it's based on opinion instead of fact. If you use, we talk about all the time, follow the Constitution, you can't be wrong. If you try to use more fact instead of I hate or I think, you know, don't ever start a sentence, and we've probably done it here on the show, but don't ever start a sentence with it's my opinion or I think. Too much eyes.
Unless that's what you're talking about is, well, I want your opinion. Somebody asks you specifically, but yeah, if you're,
But when
No.
trying to be unilateral and get it come together as a group, then we're talking about us and our, you know,
Yes,
the last segment,
exactly.
the one guy got on there and said, our country, and there was a question mark. Well, he was an illegal immigrant, and so that was kind of funny that he said our. Well, you're not part of that group, so, you know, whatever. But so the Trump success rate being at a very high level. I mean, he is one of the most successful people, and the joke is, and we get it on the Facebook and in the real world, you know, we are supporters or whatnot. But you know, well, his dad gave him $1 million. Well, we're in an area of northern Indiana where $1 million is more like probably $10,000 or $20,000 here. So if you gave me a loan, Mike or Nate, of $20,000, and I turned that into, let's say, $1 million, I think that's probably the same percentage that, you know, of course, Trump's dad. I mean, it's public. You know, his dad
yeah.
lent him $1 million in Manhattan.
yes.
Not in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if he gave him $1 million in Oklahoma, Trump probably owned a couple million acres by now. But he did it in the toughest market in a recession, when advertising was probably, I mean, it was just failing. Manhattan was falling apart. It was falling apart enough that New York City asked him to take care of the skating rink. So, you know, I do have that little bit of ammo when somebody says, "Oh, he's failed." Well, so what? He failed 7 times or whatever it is. He failed. He was successful this much, and he was successful enough where even New York City asked him. And then you keep going on and on and on. You can bash him as much as you want. There is enough ammunition, and he's done enough good deeds. And I think we're going to get into those here in a minute. But he's done enough good deeds where he is credible.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You may not like the guy. He might over-tweet. He might use
yeah.
verbiage that you don't find cleanly enough or
Yes.
lawyered up enough. But you know what? You can't bash him to the point where,
It's
he's a
because it's his
failure.
real words.
He's
It's
a
not
hell of a
written for him.
businessman, and he's a regular guy.
Yeah.
He's not a politician. He's not being coached on what to say.
Correct.
He says what
Successful.
he feels he needs to say, and he says he just does it.
Well, folks, honestly, out there listening, it's bigger than that. It is like, why are all these other countries in shambles? Not all of them, but a lot of them. You know, why are the governments and the people oppressed? Taxes are at a high rate. There's guns have been taken away. It didn't get there overnight. And does the government just get to that point, or they've cut in too many deals with people to line their own pockets and take away? We know that's going on, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Is it too far fathomed to think that that's happening here a little bit? Probably not.
Well,
and
it's just people.
And if we don't stop that or question that, a lot of people take it as, oh, you know, you got a room full of reporters, and when the one reporter actually has that question that touches on that, you get other reporters, they all shy.
I can't
and
believe he
you
just
can't
asked
believe
that.
they get embarrassed almost, and people at home might, but that's the kind of, it doesn't make you anti-government or a terrorist like they'll label sometimes. It just, that is actually patriotic to question your government. And if you know something's wrong, like some of these dissenters over time, Daniel Ellsberg in the 60s for the Army. I mean, even Edward Snowden, even though now we know why possibly he did that.
Well, Well, he had an agenda.
Yeah,
himself.
that's bad. I mean, the information, real. Thank you, Edward Snowden. The reason you did it, no good. But if you're a true patriot and you're leaking things because you are within the government, and of course we know right away the government always labels you a terrorist.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately. They're going to try to charge you under treason laws and this and that, but sometimes it takes a decade. Like for Daniel Ellsberg, he becomes a hero because he was just trying to warn us. He didn't want $1 from us. I stepped down from this very high position. I'm telling you folks, this isn't good.
It cost him more than he actually.
That's right. That's right.
There was no win.
Yes, there's no benefit. They're not trying to sell you a book and donate to me or something. They're just letting you know, and that's what it says, folks. We got to check and balance the government sometimes and question. And even if it leads to investigations and we find out we were all wrong, at least we know.
Well, that's the whole point of the government. It's the whole way the reason behind the way they structure it. There's 3 levels of government, and there's actually almost 4. But checks and balances. That seems to be and going along with Trump here. If you're 38, 40 years old and above, you might remember a time on TV where Oprah Winfrey had Trump on her show. We really need you. And he said, if it gets really bad enough, I will. I would rather not. There are better people than me. He even admitted it.
Yes.
But you see, the country was too stupid to do anything about it. So this system kept growing and growing, and I know this is what you and I love to talk about. This is the country was getting further and further out of control. Trump never wanted to get in line. So shame on those involved to make a Trump possible.
Yes,
The guy over in Great Britain said it to his parliament. You all want to beat Trump up. Trump is only the answer to your stupidity.
Yes.
You allowed it to get to a point where he is electable.
Yeah.
And why was he electable? Enough people had enough of lawyerisms and career
Politicians, lifetime politicians.
All these people
promising
beating
the
Trump
world.
up. I don't think he's elegant. I don't. But I don't care either, because I've seen elegancy my entire life with all my presidents, all my senators, career politicians.
The elegancy is only because they were coached to say it this way.
Correct?
Yes.
Trump is not coached to say it.
It's a sales pitch.
Yeah.
He says what he thinks.
Yeah. And they all have done it.
Sorry for that.
Yes.
They every senator, they're all, not all, I'm not going to stereotype the whole group, but probably a lot of them in their younger years or one term, Hillary did it, abortion is blah, blah, blah. She promised one thing, and then she would run, maybe 2 or 3 years later or 4 years later. Well, what's your opinion on? Well, you know what? I'm saying abortion should be. Maybe we need to look at that. They just flip flop all the damn time, and it's because whatever is on the agenda or whatever the news media. So Trump is refreshing. So
Well, Hillary, even with the released WikiLeaks, she says in one of these emails, to these elite Wall Streetists, don't listen to when I speak to the masses, the people.
Yeah.
You're going to hear a different story over there when I come to you.
Why
and
is
talk.
that?
Why is that?
She openly admits it.
Yes,
I
folks.
have to speak differently to you than I did to this group because you're a different
This
part.
man won't.
Yes.
He's going to tell you the same thing he tells them.
He's not.
Yes.
He's not a creative enough speaker, and we all see that. And if you disagree, go ahead and chime in and comment. But he is not an eloquent speaker. This is why I like listening to him. When he won,
Well, he
that
writes
night,
his own stuff, supposedly.
I was glued to the TV when I started seeing everybody on the media panicking. Oh my God, he just took pencil. But Hillary's still alive. She'll take North Carolina. Oh my God, what is everybody? People were acting a fool on live TV. They were bleeping them out because they were sold on the fact because they were told she's going to win.
Oh yeah. And the
majority of the country said, you know what?
Our polls show this.
Yeah.
I mean, even up to the last hour, folks are, Hillary's got it by this. Trying to convince people at home not to get off their couch and go out and vote that night. Well, Hillary already won it. I'll just stay at home. This is a good thing that people did get up off the couch and, well, if I can help, they're saying she's winning. Let me go vote here.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Right.
It didn't work in their favor of all the fake, pollings that they kept taking.
My dad always said he hated the time change. When you go from the East Coast to the West Coast, when the polls close on the East Coast, automatically NBC and C, they all start projecting, right? And he made a good point one time, and I never really thought about it. There is a large group of people that want to vote for the winner.
Oh, yeah.
I just talked to a guy the other night. You were standing there, and he goes, well, I was going to vote for Bernie, and they're not prime. But I was told that she was going to win, and, I want to vote for. Oh my God.
You want to vote for the winner, not for what you believe
You
in.
you just sold your soul. And so Dad always said, you know what they
That way I'm on the
should do?
winning team. That's huge to people.
Don't do the news until the next day, because there is obviously there's a large group of
That's
people
pretty
that say,
crazy.
well, Hillary's going to win this, so because they told us for months and months.
Oh
and
yeah,
months.
that was
So how
their
many people
plan.
went there going, well, I really thought about voting for Trump, but I want to vote for the winner, because everybody wants to be a winner in America anymore, right? So if you really think about that, you look at the diagnostics or the kinetics behind the scenes of. I don't think you could ever do it because nobody's ever going to be honest, because you wouldn't want to admit to that. But how many millions of people said, I'm voting in this direction because the news said that was going to be, oh my.
Well, our country is becoming a point to where we're not going to have that either, though, because nobody cares if they win anymore.
Oh
You
yeah,
get a participation trophy.
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
Well, and that goes.
Well, Hillary didn't. Well, actually, you know what she did? Her participation trophy is she's not in jail. So
Yes.
anyway.
Well, on that note, like we were talking about the popular vote and electoral, and I'm sure most of everyone understands how that works.
No, they don't. Don't assume that.
Well, I got this down. I could probably break it down in about a minute. So states, we vote people, and they always talk about your local voting really matters, right? Because you're going to vote the local people that go to the head of your
It's
state.
the pyramid, then it works.
Yes. So, and we know, like, for example, Indiana gets, our state's not that densely populated, so we're worth what? I don't know how many electoral, 4?
11?
11
No,
maybe?
I think we're 11.
11, okay. But then, like, California is like 28.
We'll have Nate get on the Googles on that.
Yeah.
Indiana electoral votes.
Yeah, get our electoral out of here. But I know, like, California's triple ours because there's a lot more people there. So, yes, folks, you vote in your state, and then it either goes red or blue, and then your constituents that you voted for a year, 2 years before, or even if they're like a Democrat that's at the head of your state, and then you end up going red, it sucks, but they're supposed to go cast their vote, months later.
It is 11.
11 in Indiana.
I thought it was.
And we watch that every year. We
I
vote
have most of them memorized, but yeah.
Yes, we vote what in November, and then the president doesn't take over till January 20th. But like a day or two before, or all of our heads of the states go down and they do this thing on. You can watch it. Yes, and they do it in a good, cool way. But now, in history, we've seen where states, when they go down, that person can literally change, and even though the state might have went red, they can vote for the other person.
They had a steak dinner or a phone call in transition.
Yep, and some states have laws where you can prosecute.
Yeah.
Very few do, but a lot of them it is, well, next time just don't vote for that person. Correct. They didn't listen to you. That's the big thing. Now somebody did do it. I was looking into this fact before the election, and I was going back to like the 80s or early 90s on that. But it happened this election, folks, after, I looked into this area. So it happened for the it was a Muslim. I can't remember what state he was ahead of, but they actually had a Muslim background guy in, and he was going to vote for Bernie instead of, the state was going to go for Hillary. And he's like, no, I'm voting for Bernie. And they were able to throw his ass out beforehand and get the vote in for Hillary anyway. And I was like, whoa, normally it's all after the fact and deal with it.
That's part of that whole rigged. I mean, that's a whole different monster because as you and I both know, and they won't admit it. I mean, when I say they, a vast majority of the Democrats won't admit. I'm sorry, the leader of the DNC came out. She was given the questions,
Oh, yeah.
They rigged it against Bernie. So Again, I go back to what I said earlier. You fools allowed Trump to get elected because I believe Bernie would have been elected. But because you got duped.
Well, bigger than that, they're more voicey and pointing at Trump and this collusion. But in their own party, you had the head of the DNC, Debbie Wasserman Schwartz or whatever, step down after emails got of her wrongdoings. Donna Brazile giving the questions. Hillary, them cheating Bernie over. I mean, there was all this collusion and really, really bad stuff within their own party.
Bernie got burned. Weekend at Bernie's failed. He probably.
And I still want to know what that little, when he had to go meet with Obama, they called him in there. What was said? What
Step down. Take this on the chin. We'll set you up
better.
We'll set you up in 4 years. Oh wait a minute.
Maybe
you'll
you could be next.
Because Bernie, you're on your way out. I mean, you're old, man.
Yeah.
But probably.
Yeah.
Hey, man,
something had to.
Let's help Hillary. And Bernie's probably thinking,
And he raised a lot of money from people, right? Like typical elections is big donor.
They beat the hell out of each other during the primaries. They were mean towards each other, and then as soon as they said, "Well, Hillary won," then all of a sudden, Bernie went, "Well, I'm going to go ahead."
Had to turn to all
The
vote for
political
her.
switch got
He had to tell his huge following to go
wish,
this way.
I wish you or I could have interviewed him, because I bet he was sitting at home smoking his cigar, drinking a bottle of wine, just beating the hell out of his walls, going, "This is not the America." Even Bernie, the socialist, even probably said, "This is not my America. I got hosed.
Yeah.
I should be running for president and probably getting elected." But anyway, let's see if we can bring up the top 10 things since Trump's been in office. And again, I guess these are kind of opinionated. You're going to have an opinion one way or the other, but
They're
like it or
definitely opinionated. Whatever you put up there, somebody's going to come back with a reason why that shouldn't be on that list.
oh, did you lose it?
Let me see here.
Oh boy, I think you might have. Oh, excuse me. You might have to go back to the old Googles. It was a pretty easy one. Top 10 things.
There it is.
There you go. All right. So the 10 best things, not top, the 10 best things, apparently, opinionated, President Donald Trump has done so far. So we'll scroll down and we're going to look at, I know they went from 10 to 9.
Let me open this up.
And I read over these. And the first one's real interesting, Mike. As I got a frog in my throat, go ahead and talk about number 10. This one is a big deal because he was actually told, so many people say, he's not going to go along with anything Obama did.
Okay, so we have, like on number 10, he enforced President Barack Obama's red line against Syria's use of chemical weapons when the regime of Bashar Assad used a toxic nerve agent on innocent men, women, and children. Trump didn't wring his hands. He acted quickly and decisively, restoring America's credibility on the world stage that Obama had squandered.
Yep. So right there, I mean, he did take a stance, and when Obama did it, he was applauded. But when Trump did it, they probably, I don't remember that being in the media to the point, I do remember it being in the media, but I don't remember the spin. So apparently they didn't spend a whole lot of time on it because they were probably afraid that, oh my gosh, this was one good thing that Trump did. So number 9, now this one, we're going to get some hate mail on this. So number 9, he has taken a surprisingly tough line with Russia. He didn't conspire with Russia, and here's why. You don't like it? Here's some proof. Trump approved a $47 million arms package for Ukraine, sent troops to Poland's borders with Russia, and imposed new sanctions on Moscow for violating the intermediate range nuclear force. So here, I'll break this one down for you because I do know this one because I actually looked into it a lot. So Russia didn't like back in the Cold War. They kept one of their biggest arguments was, excuse me, that they didn't want the United States pushing their might around, and the United States saying, "Well, we don't like you pushing your might around." So one of Russia's things was all of our bordering countries, right? That used to be the USSR, that for one reason or another became independent sovereign countries. United States and the UN and European allies started arming Poland and Ukraine and some of these countries, saying, you know what, we got your back, we got your back. We can never let Russia get crazy and big ever again. And Russia didn't like that. And so then the Cold War happened, then Reagan turned down the wall, blah, 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 and we all became peaceful, whatever. But even now, Trump says, you know what, you still can't let it ever happen again. So he approved the monies, the expendings of the monies, and these 2 neighboring countries to Russia, which probably irritated Putin. I'm sure it did. But we'll get on that later. I still believe that we should be okay with being allies with Russia. There's not a problem with I'd rather them be my friend than enemy. But definitely. Number 8, he did spend money to put missiles pointing right at Russia. So there's no spin there.
Or number 9.
I'm sorry, number 9.
Number 8, he recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. 4 American presidents promised to do this, but only one actually did.
More promises. More empty promises.
This is why the American people elected Trump. He does what he promises to do, for better or worse. In this case, definitely for the better. Even Jeb Bush tweeted his approval.
Oh, Jebby.
It all goes back to everybody supports a different president doing the same exact thing.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you don't like the guy, you're mad at him for doing it now.
It's called the spin, baby.
Yeah, well, that's instilled. Typically by people leave their household at 18, like under your dad's roof or your family or mine. It's like you know the team that you like. Are you Democrat or Republican?
Yeah.
There's like, and then your
Where
religion.
you work,
It's kind of like
where you
sports,
work, yeah.
religion,
I switched
and
teams after leaving the house.
yeah, but sometimes it's die hard. People, when a team's doing bad for years, people will ride it out with them, and
Yeah.
that's different. That's
That's
sports.
why
That's fine.
When the Cubs won, it was I
You don't
cried.
have to do that with
Right,
your
right.
Republican Party or your party. The country's going to shit. Well, I'm sticking it out.
I'm going
It's
down.
I'll go down with the ship.
yeah. Yeah.
Help steer that ship, and,
And
maybe
both sides do it. I mean, both sides, and there is probably a third side, but you're absolutely right. So, the Israeli one, I remember that. He's got such brass, manhood parts to do that. Well, you idiots! The 4 presidents before him and Congress and Senate supported him, but because we're on the hatred game, the media's going to say,
trying to find a reason.
yeah, they
Yes.
keep
A way to spin this to make it a reason why
Correct.
nobody should like him.
Like
Yes,
I said earlier,
yes.
the throwing monkey poo, hoping it sticks. And it's not sticking. So, 7, he withdrew. This one is one of my favorites. He withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement after George W. Bush pulled us out of the disastrous Kyoto Treaty. This all goes down to emissions. We actually it'll be true for Trump's departure from Paris Accord, combined with the approval of Keystone XL pipeline and up opening the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge exploration. Trump is helping usher in a new age of American energy development. And a lot of people went, oh my God, the green people just freaked out. They did. But they didn't look at exactly what this meant. Congress and Senate already allocated lands for exploration. Obama went, He put a kibosh to it.
Oh, yeah.
All Trump said is, you know how much money we were giving to the Paris Accord, to other countries, hoping that they would recycle more or stay green. And they weren't doing it. They weren't doing it. They were
taking the money.
Exactly. And there's been 20, 30 years of this stuff. We've had skids of millions of dollars, billions of dollars going over to our enemies. So this one is one of my favorites because he said, we're just not going to keep giving our enemies or bullshitters free cash. We're not going to freeload. We can spend that money here. Number 6. Go ahead, Mike, with that one.
Number 6, he got NATO allies to kick in $12 billion more toward our collective security. Decades of pleading by the Bush and Obama administration failed to get NATO allies to meet their financial commitments to the alliance. But Trump's tough talk and I don't even know that word. Reticence to affirm. I gotta do
4th grade English, hardest 5 years of our lives.
3rd grade, toughest
I'll
3
stop
years.
you. So was that a campaign promise? Remember, he screamed to all of us, I'm
About
going to
NATO?
tell NATO, man, listen, we're not floating the bill no more.
That's it. Why should we be doing 3/3 or whatever? All these companies promise to kick in after so much time, but they haven't. Nobody's, held them to the, your
you
bills
dri-
due, your bills due.
You drive down it.
Back to, did Trump say this stuff to get elected? Or did Trump say this stuff because our
That's
country
what's right.
needs to do it?
That's right.
Both.
That's
No.
Well, I think he knew it needed to be done,
He said it because this is what I'm going to do because this is what our country needs.
and then he followed up on
He
it.
followed
Yes,
through with it.
that's
Not
it.
just to get elected.
So, and that
Because it's
amazes
what's
me.
right.
I've been driving down 89 going in Chicago for years, and there's a big billboard, and it's a farmer. I don't know the guy's name, but he I guess it's his own private billboard, and he says, "Get us, big capital blue U.S., out of the UN."
yes.
I would love to have that guy come on the show and ask him, "How do you feel now?" Because I bet he's finally saying, the reason I wanted us out of the UN is because we're
Nobody
floating.
followed through with what they
It's like a
said before.
social service program. You just keep throwing money at it, and nothing changes. So,
When nobody in the past has followed through on what they said they were going to do,
yeah.
then
Oh, number 5. He has virtually eliminated the Islamic State's physical caliphate. Trump removed the constraints Obama placed on our military and let it drive the terrorists from their strongholds.
Yeah, no, ISIS barely exists right now, and it didn't take long. Trump
rules
said he
of
would defeat them
engagement changed.
really quick.
Yeah.
Well, it was like again, I mean, it's hard to go down that, but from my standpoint, and this is opinion, it seems like they almost wanted them not to go away. It was almost highlighted. This ISIS was let there to just, I don't know, Trump gets in, he said it before, I'll get rid of them, give me, and here
Didn't
it is.
take long.
Didn't take long. But
1 year.
we had to go the last 4 or 5 years dealing with it. And seeing these crazy videos of beheadings and just
Our
it just looked
military
crazy.
soldiers being told in chat, if you're out there in the internet world, you know who I'm not going to say your last name, but So many soldiers were told, and Aaron, hey,
How about
go
this?
fight this war. And by the way, you better get permission to fire back. Well, when Trump came into office, now you gave your generals and your soldiers an end game.
Yes.
Oh my God! For the first time in a very long time, here's a solution: win.
Oh yeah.
And
Go back
apparently,
to what it was. We used to go to war to win.
yeah, not
Yeah.
not
For a
for
reason. We go to war for a reason. But once we got there, it was to win.
yeah.
That's right.
Now we drag them all
Not
out. So
to-
Halliburtons of the world
Kind
Oh,
of starting to
my
invest,
God.
you know, setting up shop, and this is going to be,
Right.
you know, this is.
quit putting our soldiers in harm's way to satisfy bankers and corporations. You know what I mean? Give them a right to defend themselves. Otherwise, you can't. This isn't free. You're not fighting for freedom. You're fighting for dollars. So this one is near and dear to my heart. Win.
Oh yeah.
There's an end game.
And you know, when the war on terror came out, it was kind of oof, war on terror. It's not, you know, that is almost like it could almost be a forever war.
Oh,
And
okay.
of course, certain people would love that, you know.
Oh, they
just-
kept spinning it that way.
yeah.
Well, the war on terror will never
could
end.
never end.
It'll
Yeah.
never end. Well, if you think that way, then you have one of two opinions. You're either making a lot of money off of it, or B, you're just scared crazy
that's
that
right.
good will never beat evil. And I
It
don't.
has to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need somebody in there that's going to help you end it.
That's right.
Go ahead with number 3, I think it is, Mike. Or no,
No,
4.
no, I'll do 4. Trump admitted he was wrong on Afghanistan and reversed Obama's disastrous withdrawal. In a rare admission, Trump declared, "My original instinct was to pull out, but all my life I've heard that decisions are much different when you sit behind the desk in the Oval Office." Why would that be, folks? A hasty withdrawal would create a vacuum of terrorists. So, you know, he might have had opinions before he got in, but once he actually got in to be president, almost a book of secrets, or you kind of get clearance that you didn't have before, so a little bit more of the information is available to you. And that's always been my point with these people that make promises before they actually get in. You don't actually get the clearance till you become president. So therefore, some things do change. And here's
But he
a
was
clear,
honest about it.
Here's
And-
a clear
and I don't-
example of one. Yeah.
They definitely changed because he found out a whole lot more about stuff he just
That
thought
he
knew.
thought he knew of. There's a difference of everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but not their own facts, right? That's so.
And did the news? I don't remember that one being. Trump admits. This is going to take a little bit. I don't remember them applauding him for saying, you know what, when you're running for president, you don't know all the facts. So it was easy to.
They were
campaign.
on a story
Now what
that
are you
day
gonna
about
do?
him lying,
What
not
are you
how
going to
he
do now,
didn't
Mr.
lie.
Trump? Well, I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to tell you I was dead wrong. And oh my gosh, that is refreshing.
If you're waiting for something glorious in the mainstream media for them to really applaud him, it's not ever.
you're going to end up.
Like I said, we said if he comes out, I'm going to feed the hunger around the world. Oh my God, you heard it here, folks. We got people starving here. You should worry about them first. If he said, I'm not going to feed the hunger around the world, take care of vets and homeless here. Oh my God, folks, you heard it here. People are going to die because he's.
What's the Facebook meme? This is me waiting for my sister to come visit. It's a skeleton staring out the window. Yeah. If you think they're ever going to applaud Trump, you're crazy.
Number 3.
Number 3. Oh boy, it's a long-winded one. He enacted historic tax and regulatory reform that has unleashed economic growth. Trump signed the first comprehensive tax reform in 3 decades, going all the way back to JFK, and removed the wet blanket of Obama-era regulations smothering our economy. We are now heading into our 3rd consecutive quarter of above 3% growth.
Oh man.
So, and this one I know a little bit of, and then they try to say that Obama didn't. He didn't do it. He never did it. Trump for a year. Now, Obama did have a quarter or 2 in his 8 years. Well, you do the math. 8 times 4 is 32, right? Always.
Yes.
I'm pretty. Oh, God, I hope I'm right. So if he had quarterly, if Obama had, if
Hold on, let
Obama
me,
had
get my
quarterly
calculator
3% growth. I know the news spun that.
Yes.
But he never had annual because that 3% that first quarter could have easily been chewed up and spit on at the end of the year, been a big negative. And it was for 8 years. And then you hear people on the Facebook and out there in Google land saying, oh, steadily it was getting better. You got to be kidding me. You have never seen this much growth this fast. And I'm not saying it's because a Republican is in office. I disagree with that. It's only because, as a businessman, and this is where I can be, and Nate knows this, I beat people up when they come at me with this. It's not because of Trump himself, that being a Republican.
Yeah.
It's because the economy and the stock market is all on futures.
Yes.
What kind of man do we have in control? If I'm sitting on all my money, I'm not betting on a liberal guy that's telling me regulation. Now I know there's a president in there, and we're going to get things done. So it's a risk. It's all gambling. But they were never going to gamble on Obama because of the regulatory, confines.
Yes,
confinements.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So you do your homework and understand. The economy doesn't always go good or bad because this or that. It's all perspective investing.
Our
It really
economy
is.
absolutely great
Oh, it's great.
right now.
And
It's thriving.
nobody can call in, email in. Nobody can say to me on the street, we are worse off economically because of Trump. You would be
Absolutely not.
lying through your teeth.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Your hatred for other
no
reasons.
way.
Oh, another interesting one on number 2. He's installing conservative judges who will preside for decades. With his appointments of Neil Gorsuch,
Yeah.
Trump secured a conservative majority on the Supreme Court, and he is moving at a record pace to fill the federal appeals courts with young conservative judges.
That one is huge, and they knew it was coming.
Oh, yeah.
You got to keep the checks and balances, and if the Supreme Court went one way or the other, always your amendments and your Constitution's subject to change because of the leadership of the judiciary system. But never in history, and never will it happen. When you have conservative ran Supreme Court, they're not after the Constitution. But this is why you see it on the news. This is why it's so important for them to broadcast. Oh, get out there and vote. Get out there and vote. If it was liberal, and then that Supreme Court goes to liberal, well, then some of these ideals, Roe versus Wade was turned over. You do your own history. The Second Amendment, you got everybody scaring everybody. The Second Amendment could be overturned if you let too many of one type take over.
Yes.
So I want it always to be balanced.
Oh, yeah, well,
Unfortunately, in the Supreme Court, there's always an advantage one way
It
or the
has
other.
to be. Has to be.
But those judges, nobody crazy is ever going to get put in
no.
there. They say, oh, you put the first black Supreme Court judge. Thurman was great, and he still is great. I love
Yes.
listening to that guy. So, touche. Thank God it went in one direction. Oh, boy, number 1. And our listeners, some of them are going to be like, oh, okay, we're exhausted with Hillary Clinton. But, go ahead, Mike.
He, Trump, not Hillary Clinton, was inaugurated as president. Trump delivered the coup de grace that ended the corrupt
Coup de grace
that ended the corrupt, dishonest Clinton political machine.
You and I believe wholeheartedly, that one slipped. that is the truth. We know. We knew, and somebody posted not too long ago, and I had to laugh, and now I say it. Every morning I wake up and Hillary Clinton is not my president,
It's a good day.
I celebrate. It could have been Bernie. It still would have hurt a little bit, but as long as she and her power was cut off, I feel a little bit more protected. Because you and I have researched this and talked about this. That family is probably one of the scariest political families of our era, our time, on the planet. On the planet. Their fingers that they got into everything, and we're finding out in the FBI. And
It's going to be coming out. I've read things. There's over 400 sealed indictments right now just waiting to be. Things have got to be proven, folks. I know a lot of you, like myself, it's not so much, I want to see these Democrats. I don't care who they are. Republicans, Democrats, if they've done wrong, they need to be gone, tried for treason, taken down, arrested, destroyed, prosecuted, whatever. Just out of power, out of the limelight, never to be talked about again. And we can close that chapter in our history books.
let me ask you this, Mike. This one's going to hurt a little bit. So if any of these indictments come to fruition, and a lot of us believe that there's enough to put her in jail, if Trump were to give her a free pass, it's a two-part question. Would the media say, oh, he is compassionate, and thank God? Absolutely. Or would they flip on him and say, see, he is corrupt. He can't even,
Yeah.
But would his followers appreciate the fact? Because no time in history, there was a president that was found guilty.
Yeah.
And they didn't go to jail. Clinton lied under oath.
Oh, yeah.
The next president's job is to give pardon, and that is the respect level. Right, like it or not, Clinton, he was president, and he deserved a. I didn't want to see the guy go to prison forever. I know a lot of people are like Hillary in
just
prison.
depends.
I don't want her in prison. I want her gone.
Yeah.
I want her out. So
Well,
find her
hey.
guilty so the whole world knows that. But
Based off what I've known or what we've seen in the media, it could be just gone is good enough. But if some of these things lead back, that are huge and real treasonous, no, it
gotta
could be
do something.
punishable by death.
Because
for
you
some
and
of
I
these
would
people.
be.
Yeah,
They would-
that's
they
it. These
wouldn't
people
pardon
took
you, man.
an oath as well, and they're way up there. That's why I always hated seeing the young soldier that accidentally forgot a thumb drive in his pocket that had clearance. He comes back the next day and admits I accidentally the thumb drive. Did you think it got taken while you were sleeping? No, I woke up this morning. It was in my pants pocket, still there. And he would lose his clearances.
This
but,
is the submariner.
There's
he
tons
was
of
on
these
news the
stories.
other
This is
night?
just
Yeah.
tons of these stories
This
of
guy says,
mid-level.
Yeah.
These are the ones they like to hammer. These are where the laws apply to. But
it was a
when
loaded
it's-
interview because they interviewed him and said, what'd you? Well, I was 22 and I was going to get out of the military and I just wanted something for history for me, for my kids and grandkids.
some pictures,
And,
the
and
picture
he knew
one.
it was wrong. And,
Yeah.
and he said, well, okay, but I didn't think I was going to get a year for it. And then they spun it on him. They said, so how do you feel about Hillary getting away? And he says, listen, I took one picture and y'all gave me a year.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and all the listeners should have went,
Thousands and thousands of emails.
Nobody.
and he was a low-rank individual. Now you're talking Secretary
Exactly.
of State.
That's a lawyer.
So she
Her
should
husband's
be
a
held to
lawyer.
a
They
higher
all
standard.
really know this stuff. And when they questioned her, I mean, they're all over it now with some of these people close to Trump not wanting to testify. They're like refusing. The one guy's like, I'm tired of this. There's nothing. They got nothing. I'm not going to go in there and give them 3 years before Trump was even running of stuff they're asking for. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
Like I beat a dead horse. I mean, it makes you sound and look ignorant too. I mean,
Yes.
you ain't gonna suck me into this game.
exactly.
Everything you're going after Hillary for is stuff that she did right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
There's a whole lot of other stuff that people are bringing up in the past, but she's still doing bad stuff now. Like when she was running for president. Doing
That's
bad
what I'm
stuff
talking
then.
about. That has not been looked at yet.
Trump
Right.
didn't do any of that.
Honestly,
And
this is again my opinion. I think that's why they're exhausting every avenue. And then when the Democrats bring up, well, you didn't do this. Okay, we'll go down that, and they're gonna it might take 2 years to go through every little thing. Anything more? No, you've done it all. Okay, now we're gonna have to do these same processes towards this person, and they cannot bitch about it because
But they will.
But they will.
but they
They'll come
will.
up. Well, she's not even president. Why does it matter? And that's what a lot of people
What
think.
matters is she ran for office. She rigged the primaries. She was at the secretary. She was at the second or the third highest level. If the vice president gets killed, Secretary of State takes over. Am I
Something
wrong
like
there?
that. Somewhere
Right.
in that
so
line.
she's in the top, right? So she should be held to a standard. And by the way, if you don't do anything about it now, then the next guy's gonna be like, well, I didn't do anything to her. I'm gonna go ahead and break all these laws and. So you're setting a precedence. We always talk about
by being
precedence.
that high, you do get some free passes.
Oh,
Nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody wants to admit it, but you do.
Yeah.
Just like I said,
We're not dumb to it.
Bill.
Yeah.
I mean, he got free passes.
Silly Billy.
It happens.
Yeah.
And I'll go out on a limb on this next
That's
one
because
here.
they couldn't confirm what it was.
Yes.
it is this. I mean, it's a 2-letter word, but it could mean.
And we were having this is a little garage talk earlier, but we did come up on the Trump and the guns. He was moderating that conversation 4 or 5 days ago with after the school shooting in Florida recently, and we saw some shocking words come out of Trump's mouth. But if you look at this, folks, the way that it was set up, it was Trump's there moderating. You have the Republicans and the lead Democrats for this issue, and it was like a special little council to come together.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean in the same room?
Yes.
Oh, so he was being presidential.
He was being presidential. He was, you guys, and it was like the one, I can't remember the lady's name, not Pelosi, but the one lady, she mentioned something. He's like, oh, it sounds good. Get it on paper. And then the Republican yells, no, I agree with that. Get that on paper. And you guys are going to, so maybe for the first time, instead of just sitting there, no, this is a second. This gun shooting has nothing to do with, I mean, he might have personal feelings on an 18-year-old or somebody that's mentally this, and I agree. But, folks, he's just playing both sides like a fiddle. Instead of really getting into it and letting the media attack him for once, I think in this case, he's saying, get it on paper. Great idea. You get it on paper. Oh, great idea. You get it.
So
you
he's
guys
staying
work it
right.
out.
Yeah.
And he's going to go down the road or back out. And now that for the next several months, we know this is constitutional stuff. They're not going to work it out. You're not going to have this Democrat and that Republican ever come to an agreement.
They're not going to agree.
It's not going to happen. But at least 4 to 5 months gets down, and he's not just highlighted in the media. So he's
Correct.
playing them both like a fiddle. And you'll see that play out exactly. And then constituents will be blaming either their Democratic leader
Lord.
or this guy over here.
Right,
And
right.
So
And it'll go on and on and on. And I'm here to tell you, if you don't believe me, just open your eyes. A couple of weeks go by, a couple of months go by. Not a big deal.
You gotta
But
be careful where you open your eyes.
yeah, well,
Yes.
Do your research.
yeah.
Find out what's true news and what's fake news.
and don't
Find
take
out
our
how
word
far
for
it's
it.
been spun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take our word
it
for it here
goes-
today. Do some research and prove us wrong, and come back and comment how we're wrong on some of these things, right?
You know, I'm going to go back to our last episode, and I'm also going to talk about the Las Vegas shooting. I'm going to talk about the school shooting, the recent school shooting, and then look at the Oscars. The agenda wheel is always turning, and the liberals always, every chance they think they can jump on that Second Amendment. But here's my belief, and it could be conspiracy or whatever. There's enough things happening, and it's not weird anymore, that, oh my gosh, this happened again. We need to bring up gun rights. We need to bring up gun rights. And then they throw a Planned Parenthood on in front of the whole country. They are talking about murder, and I will get on that page. I'll be like Trump in that room. Actually, I'll start saying, I agree. Once we can all do this together and agree that murder's murder, whatever, I think Trump made the right play there. I think he stayed right in the middle. He's doing his job as the leader. He knows, like you just two said, they're not going to agree on anything.
Let them battle it out between themselves.
So how dare him on live TV pick a side right there? He's being that's
Well,
leadership.
and honestly, CNN got, like, for the first time when he said certain things, they wanted to highlight that he was, he's talking about,
Taking your rights.
That sounds good.
You hear
And
that,
he
conservatives?
agreed.
He's got yeah.
So they were trying to play to their audience, which with their all-time record low numbers of people watching anyway. But they were spinning that one to try to rile up actual Trump supporters. Look what he's doing.
What would have happened if he went one way or the other?
Yeah.
That was he's not taking this meeting seriously. He's
President Trump is not trying to take my
No,
no.
nope.
I actually
We'll see
seen
that
the clip
happen.
the other night, and hopefully you're going to be bringing that up because we don't need that one anymore. But we're going to end the episode with your couple of minute skit. It actually kind of choked me up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It did because you actually got to hear firsthand, and a lot of people didn't because if you're not a Trump fan, you didn't do your own research. But he has been interviewed and interviewed and interviewed. Listen, man, he might be just a guy in his 70s that made his life. He's got a good life. He's got enough money. But maybe he actually does care. Now, there's going to be, I don't feel you're
Well,
crazy.
America
He's only
has
president
been
to make
good to
more
him.
money. Are you crazy? He
is
had
right there because he cares about this country.
He will lose money because by law he can't run his companies while he's in office. So he stands to lose money while he's president. But obviously he probably doesn't care. But
You look at most, when the Clintons left the White House the first time in the 90s or early 2000s, they were broke.
Yeah.
They were actually taking things out that didn't belong to them, and they had to give shit
it was a
back.
federal crime.
Yeah.
But
But
sweep that,
they were able to get out of that, and
we'll return those.
we're
priceless
returning
heirlooms.
that,
Yeah.
and that belongs to you guys.
Happened and no jail time.
But the point of that is look at lots of past presidents. Have we ever had one that came in and donated his salary? I mean, that's $400,000 a year. That might not be a lot. So that's chump
That's a drop
change.
in the bucket to him.
Exactly. But
still,
he's
Obama
not
there for money.
actually raised it under his term. Like
Yeah.
it used to be this certain amount, and we got raised under
Right
Obama.
before he left office, he's like, you know what? All presidents should make.
And
this
I'm
kind
not knocking a president for taking their salary that's their job if they don't have another means of income. But you have a guy here that has all kinds of money, so money's not an issue. He's telling you.
Well, there are those extreme lefts that go, well, he only got in the presidency to make
Make
money.
some tax codes, and then when he gets out in a few years, he's going to really make himself
He's
rich.
smart. He's
That's
smart.
huge.
He's smarter than you think.
Absolutely not.
That's
He probably won't. Well, actually, you know what? From what I think of the man, he's going to work till the day's dead, right? So he's not
change
going to
some
just
laws,
retire.
and
But
some laws that he's going to change are going to help him.
exactly.
But this,
That's not why he got there. He got there because he cares about the United States.
That's what I'm hoping. I have a really big hope right now for the first time in several years, and I'm watching him close. We're all watching him close. We're listening to what he says, and actually watching what he does. Right. So if we see anything funny, we'll bring that up as well. But I haven't seen anything funny
hasn't
yet.
scared
I haven't
me.
seen anything
I
funny.
mean,
yet.
they'll find a little thing and they'll try to put it under a microscope. As a man, I don't see anything alarming. I mean, he hasn't he's going to start nuclear war because him and the other guy are measuring their manhood on live. They're not, no, come on, man. Actually,
No, what
North Korea is considering talking about for the first time in a long time, the nuclear.
You bring it up. You haven't seen nothing alarming. You haven't seen nothing alarming. I've seen alarming stuff in the past administrations.
Oh,
That's what brings me to this. It's like
giving
money, or just the illusion of like, why does this all have to be talked about by us, by the mainstream, or hidden by the mainstream? But then other people are writing books and investigating. It's like the Clintons organization, the foundation, her being here, Clinton going over beforehand to these places to speak and getting monies.
Yeah.
It's so close to being bad. Why even do it? Why just not separate yourself 100%? She didn't have to sign. Obama had to get a special piece of paper. You're going to step down from this foundation and separate yourself. Yes, I will. But yet that Huma Abedin was a secretary for the Secretary of State and the secretary for the Clinton Foundation.
Where's her husband living?
I mean, how do you have these people that do, you made it so close to look bad, but now now we got to take your word. Oh, trust me, it's not bad.
Kind of like
it
Haiti.
Looks bad, but it's not.
Kind of like Haiti. Kind of like that. And the Clinton Foundation. Oh my God! And how quickly the news media just shied away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh my God! And then when Puerto Rico got hit, Trump's not doing enough. Well, then they, some media outlooks or whatever, start looking at the one lady that was a Trump hater. He's not doing enough. What do you mean the president of the United States? What do you want him to do? Drive the boat himself? The boats are out there. You're slowing down. You actually let people strike. Truck drivers were striking because they felt like they should have been paid a little bit more. Blah, blah, blah. Well, it's Trump's fault. Well, no, it was your local truck drivers that struck against you, and you used it as a catapult. For some reason, this woman thought that, this is my chance getting the mainstream media. Woman, you're never going to be president of the United States. That island is where you're going to live and die, whatever. But she took it. She personally attacked him, and she didn't come up with that idea on her own.
Oh no,
She
was coached.
Yeah,
that island's infrastructure was out of date for 50 years.
Oh yeah,
and Trump was in office. You know what? I remember when Obama was in office and a really bad hurricane happened.
Oh yeah,
I didn't remember the media beating him. Well, it's because he responded. You know what? I remember both of them. You compare them both. I watched Trump on live TV hand out foods and his wife handing out food. And I watched him go down there and applaud guys. And, they always spun it. I remember Obama doing a whole lot.
Well, I also remember the Haiti situation in Haiti. And you had the Clintons there right away. Bill Clinton, they damn near named him like the president of that place. Ambassador of Haiti for us. And then now they got all this money rolling in. Billions, and promised schools to rebuild this.
Yep.
Nothing's done over there. They have kids missing, schools not built
by the thousands.
All kinds of weird things.
Kids
going
missing
on.
by the thousands.
This whole international exchange of moving people. What are you?
That's
trafficking, human trafficking.
Yeah, that topic. I hope we never get to because it'll make you throw it. It makes me cry. I mean,
we won't delve into it today by any means, folks. But man, let me tell you, this is the kind of stuff that Trump has been talking about since Trump's got in. On all these other 10 points we just went over, there's so many other things. We're seeing international pedophile rings go down on an all-time level that wasn't going on just a year and a half ago. I mean, like almost non-existent. Hollywood. Yep. Look at all this stuff coming out that we've all been has been taboo for years. You've heard little bits about it. It's almost labeled conspiracy.
His campaign promises.
If
I was a middle, I would like to think that I'm honest enough to say, even if I was against him, I would say, you know what? He might be the first president in a long time that he campaigned, and he's fulfilling campaign promises.
If they're saying that already,
I'd be bitching constantly.
They're saying that.
Why do you think they're against him so bad? Because he's winning.
Yeah.
But while I'm bitching, I'd still be going.
He might be, and there's a few things to get done. But
I guess I should have went out and I should have talked to more people and got them to vote for my side because this guy is doing exactly what he said he
If anything, he'll go down in the history books.
Wow.
He'll go down in the history books for that, is doing it, at least what he promised.
Wow. I mean,
that's
when
huge.
you really look at that, she sat back and took for granted that there's no way. I mean, listen to all these news media outlets. Trump can't get elected. And on election night, when they drop like flies, and I bet she almost stroked out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I bet she needed some kind. I don't know what they give anybody, not a woman, just anybody.
Well, and it's like, you look at that, it's like WikiLeaks comes out and shows that she's saying one thing to these elite people and then one thing to the people that are going to vote for her. And, she wants to say the right thing to the people to vote for her, but then do right for these people over here because there's deals being made, pockets being lined.
She was already planning her presidential goals, her corrupt goals.
So
long before she asked the sheep, the deplorables,
what about
that killed her. That was the end.
And when that comes out, emails leaked. Does she change her habits and try to clean it up? No, they start parking like vans out when she has these events to talk to the elite that put out black noise. It's like illegal, folks. Literally, like phones, recorders, they don't work. They won't get the image.
She was never here.
It's
she
like
we
got to get better at. I'm not going to stop changing my tunes.
Joe Blow,
we're going to get
and I know
more better.
About Joe Blow taking a picture on his phone.
Shit.
He's taking a picture on his phone. Hillary's here. What's going on? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
it's not on his phone.
They're getting white noise when she's up there talking. It's like I should be recording her voice, but I can't.
And then they say, well, maybe your phone was glitchy.
Putting out an array of no. I mean, all the newscasters. I mean, they're.
If you don't think that machine, that Clinton machine, is big, is it as big as it was a year ago? It took a hit, but it's still alive. This is why it's
nowhere near as big as it was a year ago.
But this is why this train, not the Trump train. I mean, I'll segue to the Freedom Train, the Patriot train.
Yes.
If he is that answer to getting us back on track, then we need it.
It would take something like this.
You got to keep going,
folks.
You got to keep going.
If there's any chance to get restore, our country to what we all think it should be, getting back to the foundation of this country, and not it's going to take somebody like Trump, and it's not going to just take Trump and his 6-7 people around him. It's going to take everybody collectively.
It's going to take 2020.
It's going to take it's going to take America
but we all need to start
to listen, to pay attention, to learn the truth.
Correct. It encouraged him and I to do this.
Yes.
Not Trump.
Not Trump.
But
the movement. The movement
right.
alone. This could be anybody.
Yep.
And
people mad over here.
A lot of people might think we're misled. Yep. We're misled right now. We're hearing the wrong thing. It's like, nah.
And I always want to ask this: what makes you think? And people ask all the time, Philly, why do you think like that? Why do you think the way you do? I mean, I devour a lot of information, and I make a really good. I try to make a sound judgment. I don't watch just Fox. I know there are some people that say, "Oh, you just watch Fox all the time." You would be way wrong. I actually watch less Fox for that reason, because I never want to look lopsided. But the people arguing against me obviously just watched CNN last night because they recited exactly what.
Well, there's a couple of shows on Fox I watch. Not all of Fox, because I know that they got weird things on as well.
Our boys on there.
There's a couple of guys, right? So you listen, and women. There's a couple of just good folks over there, right?
Yeah. And I love
a couple of good folks.
They always bring on somebody from the other side.
That's right. They're getting the full picture. You're getting that. At least you're getting this, and you're getting that.
They're not afraid to bring on
not just a Brady Bunch panel like on CNN. The whole screen's filled up with 12 people that all agree.
Right. It's just like wait till Mike and I disagree, because there are some things that we disagree on. I mean, it's not always funny and great and warm and. You know what? I'm not here to say watch CNN, watch Fox. What I'm saying is gather
watch
as much.
The Patriot Hour.
Yeah, man. Just only what we'll tell you what you need.
You just come here for all
our
your
own
drops.
Beliefs. It just happens that us sitting here,
they coincide.
we agree with a whole lot of stuff.
You guys making up your own mind is illegal. You just come here, we'll make up your mind for you.
Yeah. That's pretty much what the one gentleman said, and we won't go. Yeah. Anyway, so to finish up with the Trump situation, we talked about his 90% success rate.
Yes.
And you can't deny it. I don't care how bankrupt or whatever. He did fail. Baseball players only succeed 300% or 30% of the time is a great average in baseball. So Trump's way ahead of that. So
what is that whole thing? If you don't swing,
you don't have a chance.
There you go.
You're not gonna hit it out of the park if you never swing.
Yeah.
I'm chasing my first home run. Well, you gotta swing. You can't take a walk. Yeah. So. And then we talked about, New York even hired him. Oh, that's crap. No, Philly, that would be wrong. No, Google it. Get on the Googles. I love me some Googles. And then we talked about the spinning. It doesn't matter, and where I'm leading into this is with the steel thing. There's a lot of people, the tariff, he's going to ruin relationships. Oh, my God, they've spun it to the point where the President of the United States is trying to make it to where Pittsburgh and Northwest Indiana, maybe Gary, are creating their own steel. Well, Scott, they're going to offend. Okay, there's that magic word. They're going to offend some of our trade negotiations and agreements with other countries. You know what? We've been crapped on for 30 years or so. Our trade policies are terrible. And what's so wrong with us using our own steel, putting our own boys back to work?
Oh, yeah.
This is why he was elected, by the way. Pittsburgh overwhelmingly.
Yes,
The
supported.
coal miners and the steel
Oh, yeah,
guys
yeah,
voted
yeah.
for this guy.
They listened.
And look at him following through
Yes,
again.
yes.
He's going to
Again.
with one law go poof and create a ton of jobs.
But
That's right.
But where I was going with this, with the spin, is if he doesn't do it and he keeps buying Chinese steel for his own buildings, you know what they're going to do with that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, look at this son of a gun. He's buying. Look at Trump. He's buying his steel from. Well, you know what? He's trying to make it to a point to where you're going to be able to buy American steel cheaper than Chinese steel.
Yes.
And I, for one, would much rather climb up a 30-story building made out of American steel than the Chinese, because I might be afraid of a Chinese agenda.
Oh, yeah.
Make our-
Inferior metal, maybe.
Our
or-
military's using Chinese steel, and then people be like, "Well, you know, it's got only
Maybe
three,
you're testing.
only 3% of our steel comes from China." Well, you would be wrong, sir, because the Chinese and corporations have found loopholes to where it started in China,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it came through Canada first.
Oh, yeah.
Or I mean, it
American-made.
finds its way here, but it is Chinese made, so you
Oh,
can
yeah.
spin it
An
any way you want.
American-made car.
Yeah,
How many parts are made in different countries?
correct.
Oh, yeah.
And assembled.
I mean, it's easy. Even on the Humvee, we had approved, even down to the bolts, they had to be rust proof and made of a certain grade.
Sure.
And, you know, we were authorized, our government officials that, you know, I government contracted, they approved a certain bolt. And if this supplier would run out, they wouldn't want to tell us. They would just order third party.
Correct.
And then, you know, we get 200 Humvees or something over in Iraq with breaking this certain
They're not
bolt.
working right.
Oh, well, this is a grade approved, and you do some testing. No, and then we go back to you know, it's about the dollar. Of course, we get it, but yeah.
So he's
we need to
damn.
bring
So
some
I
of the
think we've
stuff back here.
established that, you know, we've pointed out some 10 points, and I guess a couple of them are obviously arguable, but you can't argue all of them.
No.
So like it or not, he is a president that campaigned
He's your president.
on a platform, and he seems to be backing his You may not like his platform, but he is at least supporting it and backing it and trying, which is completely refreshing to me. And you also, I would challenge you to open your mind and say, you know what, Scott and Mike and Nate might be right. No matter what he does, there is a media outlet and a group of people in this country, unfortunately too big, that they're using the word hate too much. No matter what he does, they're never going to go with him.
No,
What I care about is maybe we can reach a few people.
that's right.
Maybe we can open some minds and say, listen, man, I'm not here to get you to love anybody or hate anybody. What I want you to do is open your own mind and look at some facts and say, man, you know what? I tuned in the Patriot Hour, and wow, he's not completely evil.
Yeah.
You can even meet me in the middle. I mean, you still want to argue that he's evil, that's fine. However, at least meet me in the middle and say, he has done good things, because they don't portray it.
Not
If we're,
people.
yeah, if we're ever going to have a chance to get our country back, it would take, you know, electing a non-polished political career person.
Nader, why do you like Trump so much? You've said it a million times.
I love Trump for the simple fact that he's not a career politician. He's a businessman, and we've had so many issues in the last years. We need a businessman to try to run our country. He's going to put us in the right way. He's going to make us money. He's going to get us out of debt. And he's going to start establishing things that are right for the country, not for him.
Wow. You know, he didn't use $12 words there. That's the plain English. That's President Trump right there. He didn't try to wow me. You know, if we had somebody that was against Trump, I bet they would use some verbiage and some colorful. What the hell did you just say? He just said it plain English. It doesn't get any simpler than that.
I say, and I had the video up there. My fault, folks.
Oh, you're about ready to close up here with. This one's great. Pay attention.
Yeah, we're at an hour. Well, I wanted to say, same thing. It's like, if I ever had a hope that this country was going to be saved, it wasn't going to be by one of the people that we've seen for the last 30 years running this country.
Correct.
They're already there. We've seen what they're going to do.
Out of the
they
shadows.
keep telling us more taxes, just a little bit more dollar, and we're going to give you this. The world's going to be a better place. But man, there's war everywhere.
Yeah.
You got all these weird side cuts going on, arming up, you know, equivalent to gangs in these streets of these foreign countries and telling them to take down the duly elected people of these countries. I mean, we've created.
Out of the darkness will come the light.
Yes, that's folks, that's all I can say on that. It wouldn't matter if somebody comes in screaming that they're going to drain the swamp that's been up there. I'm listening.
Why is that a bad thing?
That's no. We want career.
We want the same.
We got actors over here, doctors that are over here, and then the politicians. That's them. He's not a politician. He has no business being there. You are misconstrued. I'll tell you right now, you're wrong. I'll tell you through the mic. I'll tell you to your nose to nose to you that you're wrong.
If you want it to end like Rome, keep doing what you're doing.
That's right. Look to the history books. We're gonna end this video on this note right here. So just pay attention.
About replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another 4-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation, and this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. Honestly, she should be locked up. The most powerful weapon deployed by the Clintons is the corporate media, the press. Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They're a political special interest, no different than any lobbyist or other financial entity with a total political agenda, and the agenda is not for you, it's for themselves. Anyone who challenges their control is deemed a sexist, a racist, a xenophobe. They will lie, and then again, they will do worse than that. They will do whatever is necessary. The Clintons are criminals, remember that. This is well documented, and the establishment that protects them has engaged in a massive cover-up of widespread criminal activity at the State Department and the Clinton Foundation in order to keep the Clintons in power. They knew they would throw every lie they could at me and my family and my loved ones. They knew they would stop at nothing to try to stop me. Nevertheless, I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. And I knew the American people would rise above it and vote for the future they deserve. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. Our great civilization has come upon a moment of reckoning. I didn't need to do this, folks, believe me. I built a great company, and I had a wonderful life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefit of years of successful business deals and businesses for myself and my family, instead of going through this absolute horror show of lies, deceptions, malicious attacks. Who would have thought? I'm doing it because this country has given me so much, and I feel so strongly that it's my turn to give back to the country that I love. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.